Directors Show. Today we have some really interesting topics to discuss, and we have our panelists here to dissect these topics for us, for our listening pleasure. With me here to decipher the critical aspects of Nollywood are these fine gentlemen and beautiful lady of the great Nollywood film industry. Over there we have Jimmy Odukoya. He's a prolific actor and director. You're welcome on the show, Jimmy.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, and we have the delectable Uru Eke, a producer, actor, and most recently debuted as a director in her film. Yeah. And here is this fine gentleman whom I like to call the Arab man. Look at him. He looks like an Arab man, right?
Yeah.
He is the award-winning Ifeanyi Kalu.
Thank you.
Nollywood actor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome on the show, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
So, Uru,
Yeah.
we heard that you just completed the project about a month ago, where you debuted as a director. How was the experience?
It was tough, I'm not gonna lie. Because it was tough because I was directing and acting. And as you know, as a director you want it, especially your takes, you want them to go a certain way. And if you're in that take, you can't really, look behind the
camera.
You can't see.
Right.
Yeah, because you're on the other side of the camera, so you're not really sure if it's going well or if it's being shot the way that you imagined it in your head.
Yes.
That's one, and also the type of person that I am, even though I was directing and handed over the producing part to someone else, I was still very conscious about, the production going right, if they had what was in place for the next scene. So I was still very hands-on in the producing.
And it could be stressful too, right?
It was very,
I can imagine.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
yeah, it was very stressful. But will I do it again?
Oh, look at that. So, producers, this is a new director on the block. Okay, Ifeanyi Kalu.
Yeah.
What I want to know about you is this, and I'm sure my audience, they want to know as well. How did you get into acting?
Okay, this is a question I get almost all the time.
Oh, really? Okay.
And for me, it was pretty easy. You know how people talk about, I suffered, I did this. I didn't suffer, man. I didn't suffer. No, trust me, I just have to be honest, you know what I mean? Yeah, so, exactly. It was just, a walk in the park for me. I got introduced by my sister to, everyone knows MMA song. Yeah, so I enrolled in her.
That's your sister?
My sister introduced me to MMA song.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I enrolled in her academy, that's Real Art Academy. And then that was it. I was there for a week, and then I got auditioned for a particular series, and then I was landed the role. And this is, I'm not saying this because I was introduced to someone. I landed that role because I was good.
There you go.
Yeah, so that's it, and that's how the journey started. 2011. Yeah, that was how it started for me, and since then, I thank God.
Thank you, Ifeanyi. I particularly like what you said about you landing the role because you were good. In my opinion, I think that sometimes in Nigeria, we tend to be too modest. We tend not to take credit for our works. We should, sometimes. Jimmy,
Wait,
Jimmy.
hold on. What was that? Yes, I do.
Jimmy Odukoya, we know that you are an actor and a director as well. So what I want to know is, between acting and directing, which one do you think you're better at?
Oh,
That's a good question.
that's a very good one.
Now.
Well, I don't know. I really don't know, because for me, well, my training in terms of business background, consultant, we're always trained to see you look at a picture and you see what's wrong. Your mentality is to try to fix. So I pay attention to details. I'm very detail oriented. So for me, whether I'm even acting on a set, if something's off, I'm going to say. If this picture, we're trying to create a picture of a particular person or a lifestyle that just doesn't fit, the minutest details, differentiates the difference between good and great. It's the little details.
Yeah.
So directing, I got the chance to pay attention to the details.
Yeah.
And, directing, I think once you do the whole day, you have an idea in your head, and then you go and do post-production, and you're picking your director's cuts and the transitions and everything. Because I'm very anal, I'm there, I'm looking at every transition, I'm picking the sound score, I'm looking at how the angles and the expression. So it takes a lot of time from me. So directing, acting, you're in the moment, you deliver, you move to the next scene, and you walk away.
Yes.
Directing, after it's done, you still have a whole lot of work. You're color grading, everything, because your name is on that. So you want to be, I don't know, I think I don't know which I'm better. I don't know if I answered your question, but
You did, succinctly. Come on.
They both require,
You did.
Sense of commitment.
Yeah.
Creativity.
Yes.
I think you get greater satisfaction being a director, because
You do?
there is this level of, I am responsible for the entire thing, for putting this together. So I would definitely, I've not directed before, but I think if I find myself directing, I would prefer being a director than an actor.
I think I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
And the reason why I say that is because recently, being like I told you, I just directed 2 of my first features, and I understand what you mean by there's a sense of fulfillment when you watch all the pieces come together. Because when I was sitting back and watching the first cut, and some of the shots that I imagined, I could see them play out on the screen.
Right.
And see all the bits and pieces that we had cut. We had take all the takes and everything, and you see everything come together. So you're excited and you're happy, and you're relaxed because all of the sleepless nights of planning, writing down your shots, and imagining and putting the vision together has actually come to fruition.
Yeah.
Good.
So
Beautiful. So guys, I told you, these guys are great. They are so great, so good at what they do. Look at the caliber of Nollywood producers, actors, and directors I have on my set.
We are trying to be like you.
I am great myself, if I do say so myself.
You do say so yourself.
So we'll be deciphering the critical aspects of our great Nollywood film industry. So now let's get into the topics for the day. Because I know that in my audience, there are many aspiring young actors and producers who will be holding on to all of the tidbits and goings on in Nollywood that we'll be talking about on the show today. So let's get right into it. First thing that we want to talk about is how valuable is Nollywood today? The question is, do you think that Nollywood is more valuable today than the past history of Nollywood?
what do you mean?
You're more valuable in what way? Would you mean?
Because before now, we know that say around the mid 2000s, Nollywood used to produce say about 5,000 titles per year, and they sold about 200 million DVD copies every year. And Nollywood was also noted to be worth around, say, $500 million. Dollars, please. $500 million as an industry. But today, I doubt if Nollywood is even worth $100 million. What do you think?
This is what I think. I think when Nollywood first began, especially when we were churning out probably maybe about 2,000 films a month or something like that. I think the numbers were really huge every month. It was just run of the mill. Yeah. You know, we had developed something which everybody saw was a cash cow and everyone wanted to dive in, and it was a quick buck. You know, it wasn't about quality, it wasn't about, there was no QC in place. It really wasn't about good sound, good picture. It was just, you know, a bunch of people get together and shoot a home video, and they realized they could make a buck or two from this, and hence you see everyone, especially when you see something, a sector's doing well, everyone moves to that sector.
Yeah, that
so
always
I think
happens.
That's what happened. So I don't think anyone paid much attention to the output. Now things are changing, times are shifting, and I think that people are tired of seeing that same type of poor quality, not much thought being put to any of the productions, and just numbers, because it was just a numbers game, and it was just really a means to an end for a lot of people. But now I think people are paying attention to the picture, people are paying more attention to technicalities, people are paying more attention to talent, people are paying more attention to where it's going, where it's airing, the platforms, is it staying on in Nigeria, if it's going to film festivals, if it's going to places like Netflix, you know, so there's more attention to detail, and I think that we're focusing more on things that matter, which is not just about money, it's about the quality of the production. So hence we're not producing as many as we used to produce, you know, and we're producing fewer but paying more attention to what we produce. So it might not be making as much money as it was, but it is making money, but at least we have much better films in place. That's what I think.
And I think, just to jump on, if you look at from the economic viability of it, if you look at the value of Naira then to the dollar, when you talked about the valuation about 500 million then, I mean, then the exchange rate was maybe 135 to a dollar then.
Yes, it was.
So even if you could, you know, if you had 1,000 Naira then, 1,000 Naira then could buy you so much more than it is now. Especially now the world is a global village. Your Naira is doing so much less for the same amount. Also, you have to take into consideration the mode of distribution as well. Like you said, the major distribution then was DVDs.
Exactly.
Now technology has changed, and because no one is the metrics was how many people could sell DVDs in Asabanis, and so that's how it spread.
It's quite the oil market.
Exactly, but now that's not the case anymore. Now you have, you know, technology, everything is going digital, and so which means, going back to what we said, the quality has to change. There are now standards for how you produce to have your things on certain platforms, you know, and because there's a structure that's now developed, here comes in the monopoly of the distribution side of the markets as well. Now you have major distributors who, you know, kind of have monopoly on how things roll. So you have to play to their standard, and because they have the monopoly, they can set the price for how they purchase things. So it's a cascading effect. Where you could just create a movie and sell and put it on a DVD. Now you have to meet a certain standard, sell to a particular platform to meet it within a certain price point. So it all cascades. So where you could make 10 movies before, now they're buying for a particular price. Now you have to look at how much you would spend per project. So where you would have done 10, you look at, listen, let me pump that way to 1 or 2. So it literally has a cascading effect on. So yes, the quantity might have reduced, as you said, the quality.
True that. Just to jump on, like she said, you'd expect that if we're going to have better quality of movies, then we're not going to churn out as many,
titles.
You get it. Definitely not. So there was the need for better movies. I think a lot of us started getting tired of the same old kind of movies, you know. And the case of technology. I mean, people weren't using DVDs anymore. There were loads of VODs, you know, platforms and all of that. So definitely things had to change. And talking about whether it's more valuable or it was more valuable then than now, I think there's a balance. All right, the balance is when you have better movies. I mean, better quality would mean better pay. We have some really some platforms that would pay for good movies. So that's what I think. So I think there's just a balance. It's just a balance here.
Okay, so when everyone spoke, Jamie, Uru, Ifeanyi, I kept hearing 2 words: quantity, quality. Quantity, quality. So are you guys saying that the producers of old, so to speak, always made low quality films?
Ooh-ha.
Because guess what? We cannot take the fact that they made Nollywood.
Right.
Yeah.
We can't take that away from them.
Right.
Yeah.
So are you saying they always made low quality movies?
No. This is what I like to say. Okay.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, I'm very.
Yes.
Good. It's about demography.
Right.
All right. You had people back. I think people are more knowledgeable right now. Who are the people that these movies are being made for? Some of them don't care about, certain details. They don't care about picture. They don't care about. Some of them don't care about the acting.
It's just a story.
They just want to watch something. So then the producers could as well, just do anything, but not to disparage their efforts, because then they laid the foundation upon which all other producers who have come on board have made amazing movies. So I think that in all honesty, the quality then was low.
Okay.
But let me.
The quality was low. There wasn't a standard to compare the films with. There was a standard, but they weren't being compared to that standard. And the market, the people who you're making the films for, didn't really require much to please them. And from my research, it didn't start out like they didn't start off to build an industry. It was one person who took a chance and produced a film, which I think it was Living in Bondage.
Yeah.
I think it was that was one of the first ones. He had this idea, put a bunch of people together and shot this film and had no idea how successful the film was going to be. And it turned out to be really successful, and he continued to do more, and everyone else saw that it was a viable business and jumped on it. So quality wasn't the first thing that they had in mind at the time, and I really don't think they knew any better, to be honest with you, and that's the reason why the film turned out the way they did.
But let me jump in now before I say this. Let me start by saying I don't profess to be any expert on the history of Nollywood or anything like that. It's a fact. I don't know that much. However, I would say that, going back to quality versus quantity, again, you have to ask certain things. The standards for the time. You can't take time out of context. Now, for the time, they did what they had to do. I think even if you look in Nollywood, let's say 10 years back, some of the movies that some people might have shot in 2010, they look at it now and they think, oh my God, what was I doing? There's some.
No, but I disagree with you. Even when you watch black and white films and films shot in the 20s and 30s, the quality of those films, I understand that times have changed and technology has advanced, but still, when you watch a film that was shot 50 years ago...
What film would you watch? What a Hollywood movie?
Yeah.
That's what I talked about. Demography comes to play. Because
I'm not disagreeing with you on...
You're disagreeing with me saying that time doesn't matter. But check it. So I remember, things fall apart. Did anybody ever watch Things Fall? Did you ever watch Things Fall Apart?
I did.
Things Fall Apart was a great production in its time. It was a massive production and it was an epic. But it was, there were some. Now, if you're looking at the general populace of maybe Asaba movies or all of that stuff, I can't speak to that. I'm talking about, and yes, obviously it's about story, but there were some that were really good in their time, So I won't say all of them were.
Yeah, sure.
There were some that really. I remember NTA back then was they had some major productions then. People would rush home to see these things.
That were good.
That were really good, But then if you're looking at the majority, I think it's fair to say, there were some that were good, but
the majority were bad.
Interesting. So I think this topic would be a major topic for another episode. Yes, because I think I would like to have some of the older Nollywood producers and actors on the set. So let's also hear from them and what they have to say about it. Please stay with us for more episodes of Angels No Filters.